But I feel like we have a bigger, more impressing thing than just your phone bill. In fact, it's a Senate bill.
Ooh.
Ooh, big
Ooh.
money.
So last Wednesday, a bipartisan group of senators introduced a bill that, in essence, would ban app stores like Apple or the Apple App Store or the Google App Play Store from requiring in-app commission fees on sales. The bill was introduced by Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal and was signed on to by Tennessee Republican Marsha Blackburn and Minnesota Democrat Amy Klobuchar. Blumenthal said that he expects a companion legislation to be entered into the House, and Colorado Republican Ken Buck has signaled that he may be the one to bring it forward. These fees, which typically impose a $30 commission fee, 30% commission on app developers to sell in-app purchases, have been the center of a lot of controversy. Very specifically, as we have mentioned many times, the Epic versus Apple lawsuit and Epic versus Google lawsuit. And a big reason why we mentioned it on this show is because a lot of times those fees are passed down to consumers. If a app developer has to give up 30% of $1, that's 30 cents. They get to take home 70 cents on that then gets taxed. They're more than likely going to raise the cost to offset that commission fee. Both Apple and Google have suggested that the reason this is because for these fees is because they offer a secure and safe place for both customers and developers. Although some stories and research obviously begs to differ. And so their argument, like I said, is we're providing a safe, secure place. We're also, bringing customers to you. Without us offering this store, you would not have a place to sell and therefore would have no customers, which is not accurate. It's only accurate if you take into account the fact that Apple only allows you to install apps from their app store, meaning they're the only game in town. Mm-hmm.
There are no third-party apps.
No third-party apps. Only web apps. Blumenthal himself told CNBC that the argument is quote is to quote protect protect and maintain their monopoly position. He also went on to say, quote, "It is not only disingenuous, it's ironic because they're the ones who are actually invading privacy and stealing data from the developers, and all the while they're saying, oh, well, we're the privacy protectors. In fact, our legislation in Section 4 had specific provision that protects privacy, even more than it is now." So this kind of argument is totally bogus, and I think it's going to be absolutely transparent that actually privacy would be better protected with this legislation. And as a side note, I will say I agree with that notion, especially as we've seen Apple announce they would be scanning phones for abusive content and sharing that with law enforcement. And very specifically, I'm going to say abusive towards children in a very specific manner. Can't say much else because of how YouTube and other platforms regulate that particular phrase. But that is, I hope you guys can understand what I'm alluding to there.
We don't want to end up on a list.
Yeah. Yeah. Do not want to end up on a list. Which, of course, like, that seems good on the surface, right? But that technology can be turned to detect anything and shared with governments, like the Chinese Communist Party or the American government, right?
It's the People's Republic of China. Okay.
That might be the country name, but the party that runs it is the Chinese Communist Party. Actually. Right, so we know that these companies don't necessarily have our privacy best in mind. Apple likes to sell, and I thought maybe they were going to be doing better than what they were. But they like to say that they're the most private and secure platform, but obviously they can change on a whim to suit their needs. So with that, guys in the chat, let us know, and in the YouTube comments, what you guys think. But I'm going to go around the horn here. Rev, what do you think of this legislation?
I think it's crazy that bipartisan legislation actually seems to be working out in the people's favor.
Damn, that is a hot take.
Like, I think it's crazy that they actually want to work together to take down, these things that allow them to continue to make ungodly amounts of profit while restricting the publishing availability on certain devices. So it's like, wow, did somebody take their hands out of the government's pockets, or are they just like feigning security? Like, we're not actually it's not going to go through. It's going to get shot down. This is just like a posturing move. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I have a theory as to why it's bipartisan. Democrats and people on the left want to see these companies broken down or divided through antitrust laws, and Republicans don't like them because these companies, quote unquote, control the media and censor and ban conservative viewpoints. That's the reason.
That's fair.
Neither party likes these companies.
Yeah, because both of those, like the two big ones, the Google Play Store and the Apple Store, both had, what was that, Parler or whatever, like, taken down.
Yeah.
And so the Republicans are like, man, fuck big media, because that's how apparently everybody on the right sounds, I guess. But
I just know that I won't have to worry about this because I'm getting myself a Freedom phone.
Oh my!
Oh, sweet mercy!
Because I'm proud to be an American.
Or at least I knew I'm free.
Even though my phone is made in China.
Green, what do you feel about this?
Yeah, yeah. I hopefully it's something that can actually work out. Like, something for the people, like, general consumers. So, I don't know. I personally am not like huge with like government, setting regulations and stuff like that. But like, if that's what's necessary, then by all means, like, especially as I said, as long as it helps the consumer, I'm all for it. I'm game.
Yeah.
And like, I feel bad for app developers, that especially like the smaller devs that have to fork over this money, and then it took like one company making millions that was tired of having millions taken away from them to actually make anything out of it with Epic versus Apple.
Yeah.
So for the the government to actually see like stuff like this happening and actually like talking about it is I think a step in the right direction.
Yeah, which I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I like the idea of the legislation. I like the intent, but I am very skeptical of legislation, and I really would have preferred this come down to legal precedents rather than legislation. I would rather have not seen this be like passed in a bill. I would rather have seen a court case like Epic versus Apple set legal precedents and go from there. Especially because I'd be concerned with how strong the legislation is, how many loopholes can companies find, right? How enforceable is it going to be? Who's actually going to enforce it, right? Is the FTC going to enforce this? Is this going to be their responsibility? And will key provisions actually survive the bill process, right? How many of the provisions in this bill that would give it strength and what's the word I'm looking for? Strength and power. There we go. I guess that'll work.
Girth.
Sure, right? Strength and weight, strength and girth. Yeah, will that survive the process? And it's got, I mean, because it's got to survive the process in both the House and the Senate, right? And then it has to be reconciled between the two. And then, so yeah, is it actually going to survive? I don't know. That's why I would have rather have seen this played out in the court of law, and then people could point to that precedence and say, according to this court case, you can't do this or you can do this.
Dun dun.
Right? Yeah.
My biggest thing is like how many of these politicians, these elected officials, like understand what's going on, you know? Like the Facebook hearing with Mark Zuckerberg, and they're like, they repeatedly ask the same questions over and over again because they don't understand what Facebook is.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit because this is more of a store thing than it is. This is a commerce thing than it is a social media thing, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's like, oh, Walmart is charging, because you just have to explain it to them like, oh, if Walmart charged 15% just to have your box of cereal on the store shelves, is that fair? And is it fair if Walmart is literally the only grocery store in the entire country? Or like,
what does this have to do?
yeah, right. So it's like, or like to better explain it, it's like, okay, east of the Mississippi you have Walmart, and west of the Mississippi you have Kroger, and they both get to charge food manufacturers, cereal companies, 15%, 30% just to have their cereal on the shelves, and that price gets passed down to consumers, who are then further taxed on that. And if you're a small cereal producer, right, if you're a startup cereal company making
Malto-Meal,
Malto-Meal or Sugar Puffs, right, you have to pay that, and it's already difficult for you to break through the market, right? So that's the basic argument. I think senators can understand that argument.
Yeah.
I think Chuck Grassley, in his 3 million years on the fucking face of this earth, could probably understand that.
And 2.999 million years of that spent in office, by the way.
Yeah. I
had to point that out because, like, career politician.
Yeah.
Man came out of the womb writing bills, okay? Literally fucking out of the womb. Like, this is what's gonna happen in Iowa.
Yeah. And
golly.
Yeah, he just screams about Benghazi in his stupid turtle voice. I know everyone says Mitch McConnell looks like a turtle, but fucking Chuck Grassley sounds like one.
Mitch McConnell looks like the so the fucking pants
yeah, the blind man from Pan's Mitch McConnell looks like what I imagine a lizard person would look like.
Yeah, he looks like someone who's like in an ill-fitting skin suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need sugar water. More.
Is that better?
So yeah, this bill seems like a gamble. Do you guys want to talk about gambling on Twitch?